I don't know if you guys have seen of this image, but this image has been floating around on the internet for the last couple of days, and people thought it was from Nike. That there's this whole campaign of this man having these lashes of Nike logos on his back. And the reason why that would be problematic is because of America's history with slaves, the lashing, and how this logo, the Nike logo on this black man's back, that is problematic. And I could see why that would be problematic. But when I saw this, I didn't just jump into conclusions thinking that it was Nike. I knew that something was up here. Either someone did something AI and was just like trying to bait raid people online or something like that. And especially knowing that what Nike is right now, because Nike has been such a guarantee in the industry and has been on the top when it comes to being a brand and being always talk of the town, and just Nike in general and the history right now is at its lowest when it comes to like stock shares. So Nike is not that popular right now. I don't really see that many people talking about Nike. So for Nike to come out with a campaign with this kind of imagery, I just knew that it had to be something else than something from Nike. And I found out who it was. It's actually an artist from Brooklyn, New York. And I don't really know of this man. I just pulled up his website. Then I also found an article about the reasoning behind this image, and we're gonna read it, talk about it afterwards. Okay, so this is the guy that's behind that image, and his name is Hans Willis Thomas. And yeah, that's the guy. And it says that Hank. Oh, did I say Hans? It's Hank. Hank. Hank Willis. Okay, so it says Hank lives and works in Brooklyn, New York as a conceptual artist, working primarily with themes related to perspective, identity, commodity, media, and popular culture. His work has been exhibited throughout the United States and abroad, including the International Center of Photography, Guggenheim Museum, Bilbao, Museo du Pub something, Hong Kong Arts Center, and the Willie D. With Center for Contemporary Art. Okay, so he's known, and it seems that he can live off of it. So yeah, that's the guy. Let's see his portfolio. This is some of his works. I'm not into arts like that. And actually, when I saw these images as well, it kind of reminded me of that whole thing with... First, when this whole thing escalated online, people said it was some white girl named Sophie that was behind it. And then I looked at her page and I was just like, I can't really see how that could be her throughout, like, when you think about her page and what she had. So it's like, it has to be like a black person or something like that. And it kind of when I found out it was a black person, I was just like, okay, what's the intent with this imagery? Because it kind of reminded me of that British Nigerian guy making these like self-portraits, it calls them, like black people with big red lips. So this is the guy I'm talking about when I talk about that UK Nigerian black artist who makes these like very controversial and provocative self-portraits, as he says. I've talked about it before. I don't know what I feel about it. I still find it a little bit problematic. When you see these imageries and you know the past of these kind of images and arts, whatever you will call it, the past that it has. But at the same time, he says that it's self-portraits, and he does look like this. The man does look like this. Do you know what I mean? So it's not a far-fetched between the imagery and the way that he looks. Not to be like mean or anything, but like I could see how that could be self-portraits, but also see rage baiting. I don't know. And then the whole thing of the artists that are like the people that are actually buying his painting and giving a big sum of money are like white British people. And then that's also becomes a question like, okay, being an artist is hard, but also you're selling these paintings and arts that has a racist past. Regardless if it's self-portraits, the fact that these people are like black and with big red lips, that has a history in itself, and then you're selling it to white British people that for some weird reason, that whole thing of them wanting to obtain those kind of photos, really questionable, especially knowing the British history with African countries, even some of the countries I'm from. So do you know what I mean? That whole mix. But yeah, that's a whole different story. I found an article explaining this whole situation when it comes to this image of this black man with the lashes of the Nike logos on his back. And the article is called, this is June 2025, not June 25. When is this article from? What I've seen before this article is this whole imagery and this whole series that he's done is way back. So I wonder why it's circulating now. But yeah. It's called Hank Willis Thomas Branding Black Identity. This process following the police killing of George Floyd rapidly spread throughout the country. Brand managers across industries worked quickly to create sensitive and timely responses. Nike, a brand with a history of mixing advertising with social justice messaging, was one of the first sports apparel brands to speak out on social media. Their 60-second black and white video renounced the infamous slogan as the somber sounds of piano music played in the background. For once, don't do it. The video reads, "Do not pretend there's not a problem in America. Do not turn your back on racism. Do not accept innocent lives being taken from us. Do not make any more excuses." As the channels for received marketing messages change, public expectation of brands and social responsibility has undoubtedly evolved. According to the HAAS School of Business at Berkeley, 9 out of 10 millennials would switch brands to one associated with a cause and are reportedly prepared to make personal sacrifices, make an impact on issues they care about. With the ubiquity of social media, where billions of users engage with news outlets, professional networks, social circles, and brand messaging simultaneously, corporate brands and advertising have become more into daily life. It's no longer enough for a brand to be a trademark. It also has to be a friend, a conduit for information, and a social justice warrior, with marketing and advertising inextricably linked to other forms of media. Brands and logos are becoming more loaded with meaning than ever before. Exactly. Here's another image with the lashes of the Nike logo on a black man. Hank Willis Thomas has explored the language of branding and advertising in his photographs throughout much of his career. I started thinking about logos as our generation's hieroglyphs. Guys, do not hang me up on these words, okay? Said Thomas in the 2015 interview with the Brooklyn Rail. They can be embedded with so much meaning, and I really wanted to play off that. Using commercial campaign strategies, Thomas reveals how branding has shaped contemporary and historical black identity in American culture, exposing the parallels between systems of possessing black bodies as commodities and examining how companies elicit desire while maintaining culturally embedded racism. In graduate school, I was reading a book called Michael Jordan and the New Global Capitalism 1999, says Thomas. It talked about how Nike went from being a $10 million company when he signed to being a $10 billion company 20 years later. I was thinking about black bodies. Bodies like his would have been traded on the market at a different period in time. Now, when these bodies are traded today, I was thinking about how much money is made for them. So we go from slaves being branded as a sign of ownership to black bodies today being branded as a way to make money. In Thomas' branded head 2003 and scar chest 2003, he marks black bodies with scar in the shape of the archetypal Nike swoosh, comparing the logos currently adorning black athletes to the branding of black bodies by slave owners. Oh wow. All the way to back 2003. How the fuck did he do that? I thought it was a little bit of AI on this thing. In Basketball Unchained 2003, a player leaps into the air in a moment of athletic determination only to be weighed down by the shackle and chain of an NBA branded basketball. This is the image. In Cotton Bowl 2011, a football player wearing Nike branded cleats assumes a position at the line of scrimmage, coming to face with a man picking cotton, crouched in an identical position. These provocative images challenges the use of branding and highlight the correlation between ownership of team members, brand endorsement, and the transatlantic slave trade. The entire idea of blackness, according to Thomas, was created by a commercial industry and is therefore a branding strategy in and of itself. The crazy thing about blackness, says Thomas, is that black people didn't create it. Europeans with a commercial interest in dehumanizing us created black people. Slavery as an industry was developed and maintained by stripping away the identity and individuality of black people to create a stereotype that would define them as commodity. Thomas calls the black identity is the fabrication that has evolved throughout American history, leaving the black communities come to terms with their own individuality 400 years later, while continuing to face parallels of the system that stripped them of their humanization centuries ago. If branding had the power to create slavery and continues to shape the identity of African American in modern culture, today, with its powerful omnipresence in this time of heightened political and social awareness, branding certainly has the power to help black people in America We conquer Black identity for the future. Do not sit back and be silent. The 60-second Nike video implores in its last few lines. Do not think you cannot be part of the change. Let's all be part of the change. So there you go, you guys. That was the whole point of that image. There was more to it than just Nike just leaking. Well, Nike didn't even leak that photo. This has nothing to do with Nike. Like, Nike wasn't behind it. It was an artist that did this whole thing. I really like this kind of artistry compared to the Nigerian, the one from the UK, even though it was self-portraits. I like this more than the UK one because he doesn't really bring, there's not really a message behind the self-portraits that the Nigerian guy does from the UK, whereas Hank, he has a message behind it and it makes so much sense. So I really like that. What do you guys think? Let me know. This is the Slick Cut. Like and subscribe, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.